The next morning, Nagumo woke up to find himself lying in a bed. A surprising sight for someone who'd spent the last few days treating rock floors like mattresses, given they were deep in the dungeon. Even more shocking was that Yue lay beside him, completely in her birthday suit. Nagumo's brain short-circuited faster than a cheap toaster. He jumped up, grabbed his clothes like they were on fire, and asked Yue where they were. Yue calmly explained that they were in the Maverick's lair, a hidden location she had found and brought him to after he had collapsed from exhaustion following their battle with the dragon. She also mentioned that the clothes Nagumo was wearing belonged to the Maverick, leading him to speculate that the Maverick might have been human and, hopefully, had a decent laundry routine. Stepping out of the room, Nagumo felt like he just walked into a Halloween version of Cribs. There, in the middle of the dungeon, was a mansion. Who even builds mansions underground? Interior designers with a goth phase? Intrigued, they started exploring. They found a room with a strange symbol on the floor and a skeletal corpse chilling on a chair. As Nagumo moved closer, a ghostly figure appeared and introduced itself as Oscar Orcus, creator of the labyrinth. Nagumo half expected the ghost to offer him tea and crumpets, but instead, Oscar congratulated him for surviving and reaching his lair, like a pre-recorded dungeon voicemail. Meanwhile, back on the 65th floor, Korei, Shizuku, and their team decided to take on the behemoth again, because apparently they didn't get enough of a beating the first time. Koki led the charge like a quarterback in a monster football game. Henshin distracted the creature, while Shizuku sliced off one of its horns like she was cutting through butter. But the monster, clearly not having it, counterattacked. Suzu threw up a shield spell just in time, while Kaori added a spell boost. Finally, Koki pulled off a superhero move, leaping onto the behemoth and delivering a blow that turned the tide. Back in the lair, Oscar Orcus bestowed his power upon Nagumo, cautioning him to use it wisely and not for evil. As Oscar's magic flowed into him, Nagumo felt the magical equivalent of downloading the entire internet into his brain. He learned that the Mavericks weren't the baddies everyone thought they were. They were actually the liberators. Turns out the so-called villains were just misunderstood, like every anti-hero in existence. Shout out to Itachi, he's a real one. After burying Oscar's remains, Nagumo kept a ring that unlocked various hidden places. Oscar taught him the art of creation magic, granting Nagumo the ability to create anything he desired. Naturally, he immediately started crafting new weapons, tools, and possibly a really cool coffee maker. He even kept chowing down on monster meat, like it was some bizarre protein shake, enhancing his abilities further. Months passed in intense training, and Nagumo felt ready to confront the dangers that awaited them. He warned Yue of the perilous path they had chosen, emphasizing the threats they might face from the church, angry priests, untrustworthy royals, and gods with god complexes. Despite the ominous warning, Yue remained unwavering in her determination. With that, they activated the portal, and it was liftoff. While Shay anxiously waited, a terrifying monster appeared, scaring the socks off her. In a panic, she ran off in search of help, hoping for rescue. Just as things looked bleak, Hajime and Yue pulled up at the venue, looking like they were just casually out for a Sunday stroll, and caused the monster to hit the road faster than a cheetah on steroids. Shay felt relieved to see them, but they seemed to ignore her and continued on their way. Suddenly, the monster reappeared in front of Hajime. Reacting quickly, Hajime drew his gun and effortlessly killed the creature with 2 precise shots. sending it straight to monster heaven. Shay introduced herself as the eldest daughter of the Halia beast tribe and pleaded for their help in saving her family. Though Hajime was initially reluctant, he agreed to hear her out. Shay explained that she had been exiled from her tribe, which was then attacked by a monster. She mentioned she had a rare ability to sense mana and a unique talent called future sight, which allowed her to catch glimpses of future events, like a discount psychic at a county fair. Shay argued that Hajime needed her guidance to navigate the foggy area he intended to explore. Yue suggested that having Shay as a guide would be useful, and Hajime sighed like he was agreeing to babysit a hyperactive puppy, but agreed nonetheless. Off they went, into the forest, fighting monsters left and right like it was their full-time job. Pretty soon, the tribe started feeling a bit more relaxed, as the monsters were no longer dropping by for a midnight snack. One evening, when the three had a rare moment without monsters trying to gnaw their faces off, Shay asked Hajime about his ultimate goal. Hajime, always direct, said his only desire was to get home with Yue, preferably without any more interruptions or weird detours. Moved by his sincerity, Shay expressed her wish to join him on his journey. The Halia tribe members also vowed to become stronger, and not to remain the dungeon's snack vending machine. Hajime taught them a crucial lesson. Survival meant either killing or being killed. Inspired, the tribe decided to hunt monsters and grow stronger. Shay and Yue engaged in a playful duel, which was interrupted by Hajime. He asked Yue about Shay's performance. Soon after, the tribesmen returned, proudly displaying the trophies from their successful hunt. They proceeded to the great tree and found a monument. Inside, Yue deciphered 4 symbols, revealing them as relics from other labyrinths. This discovery prompted Hajime to decide to explore the new labyrinths, while asking the Halia tribe to stay and continue their training, suggesting he might need their help in the future. Reflecting on her mother's words about meeting remarkable people, Shay challenged Yue to honor their bet from the duel, as she had won. Hajime, however, dismissed any obligation to reward her. Shay countered by asserting that the future is flexible and can be shaped with determination, highlighting her belief in the power to change one's own destiny. Hajime and his group searched for the entrance to the labyrinth in Risen Gorge. During their exploration, Shay found the entrance and eagerly alerted Hajime and Yue. Upon entering, Hajime went Rambo on a group of monsters, and the team discovered a stone tablet. Naturally, Shay, in her infinite wisdom, decided that smashing it with her hammer was the best course of action. But a voice from the tablet revealed it would regenerate. Undeterred, they continued deeper into the labyrinth, skillfully navigating and overcoming various traps. After a long journey, they found themselves back at the starting point. Meanwhile, in the Highlight Kingdom, Yuka decided to accompany Aiko on her upcoming expedition and tried to make her classmates realize that Hajime had saved their lives. Back in the labyrinth, Hajime and his companions reached Miletti's lair, but found guards blocking their path. Hajime directed Shay to lead, assuring her of their support if needed. After dealing with the guards, they ascended a wooden platform to the upper level, where they finally confronted Milady Ryson. Milady, who looked like a Roblox final boss, questioned Hajime's intentions for seeking ancient magic. Hajime explained that he had been forcefully transported to this world by her god and was determined to use the magic to return home. Milady, however, remained vague about the location of the ancient magic, prompting a fierce battle. Despite her armor's resilience, Hajime identified her heart as a weakness. With strategic coordination, they targeted this vulnerability, ultimately defeating Milady. Before fading away, Milady warned Hajime about the dangers of using ancient magic, predicting he was destined to become a god killer. However, their victory was short-lived. In another chamber, they discovered that Milady had transferred her consciousness into a new body, defying death. Hajime's attempt to claim her treasure triggered a trap, and they were unceremoniously yeeted out of the labyrinth. They found themselves on a distant shore and eventually reached the Masaka Inn, where Hajime tried to book a single room for all three of them. Yue suggested they get 2 rooms, one for Hajime and herself, and one for Shay. However, Shay insisted on sharing a room with Hajime, leading to a heated debate between Yue and Shay. As the argument continued, Hajime became increasingly frustrated by Shay's persistence, in which she ended up spilling some quite interesting plot-filled revelations about our Chad protagonist. Ilra Chang, leader of the Furin Adventurers Guild, introduced himself to Hajime, Yue, and Shay. He urgently requested their help in finding a group of adventurers missing in the northern mountains, including Will Kudeta, the 3rd son of Count Kudeta. Ilra asked Hajime to rescue them. Hajime, sensing an opportunity, agreed, but with 2 conditions. First, Ilra had to create status plates for him and his companions, which was like getting a VIP pass to everything cool. Second, Ilra must obey Hajime's commands whenever he snapped his fingers. Ilra, realizing he had no better options, agreed. Probably wishing he had brought a stronger cup of coffee that morning, and the group set out for the lakeside town of en route to the mountains. In Aikyo and her companions were eating at the inn when they learned that traders couldn't bring in food due to issues in the mountains. Suddenly, Hajime and his group arrived. As soon as he walked in, Aiko's eyes lit up like a schoolteacher spotting a tardy student. She hurried over to him, but Hajime pretended not to know her and ignored her attempts at conversation. As Hajime and his group sat down to eat, a Templar knight decided to pick on Shay, likely thinking that his armor gave him a right to be a jerk. Without missing a beat, Hajime pulled out his gun and shot the knight, like it was just another Tuesday. Hajime then warned Aiko and her group not to interfere with his plans, and promised not to harm them if they complied. After this, Hajime and his companions left. That night, Aiko pondered Hajime's aggressive behavior, suspecting he had faced many hardships. Unexpectedly, Hajime sneaked into a room to explain his actions. He revealed the history of the post-Age of Gods, describing a world plagued by war. He told Aiko about a deranged deity who had manipulated the liberators, using them as pawns like a cruel chess game. Rejected by humanity, the liberators retreated into the labyrinths they had built, creating trials for anyone who sought their power. Hajime explained that those who passed the trials were granted unique abilities, becoming known as mavericks. His ultimate goal was to find a way back to his world, believing the labyrinths held the key. He also shared that he had recently been targeted by a spell cast by one of Aiko's students, causing him to collapse. As Hajime and his group prepared to leave, Aiko's students asked to join him, but he flatly refused, because his group wasn't exactly a guided tour service. Aiko then approached Hajime, expressing her need to learn more about what had happened. She promised to follow Hajime's conditions and assured him that she and her students would leave his group after the discussion. With that, they parted ways.